there have been plenty of people who have given me some pushback that do want to add Memphis as a member. So you've now had your chance to weigh in. I said on Monday, I am impressed by Memphis's offer, but I am against adding them to the conference right now. But I have gotten some pushback. I understand with people having a chance to weigh in that there are going to be differing opinions on this. And let's go over some of what I am hearing, the pushback, and we'll see if I reconsider it all. Let's see if this pushes me off my position at all. Let's reset with the details here. If you are not remembering the specifics of Memphis's candidacy, it does seem like this is all an exercise that's not going to net much of a result either way for Memphis. That they're probably not getting in. It depends on who you read, whether it was Dellinger or Brett McMurphy, as to whether it was definitive that the Big 12 had said no. It at least, I guess, look, Memphis had that tweet, which was funny. Memphis had that tweet that they put out late in the day on Monday that said, "We are committed members to the AAC." It was funny. I mean, I'll give them that. I understand why it happened, but everybody also got a nice laugh out of it. Come on, that's pretty funny. You're trying to pay $250 million, upwards of that, just to get out of the current league that you're in. But hey, that's how the game goes. Memphis presented the Big 12 with what they were calling a no-risk concept. Memphis would take zero financial distribution from the Big 12 for 5 years. So they're not going to take a dime of the TV money or any of the revenue that gets paid out on an annual basis to any of the other schools. Plus, they would supply at least $150 million. Some reports were saying up to $250 million in sponsorship dollars over those 5 years. And then if the Big 12 deemed after 5 years that Memphis wasn't bringing enough value, they could just kick them out of the conference. So that was the deal. I mean, this was like the SMU ACC deal on steroids, is what Memphis was trying to do here. So now, I don't know. It really is interesting how the numbers differed so much, because then Dellinger goes on to say a membership offer to the league that's expected to be as high as $200 million over the next 5 years. Does that include the fact that you're not giving them the payout? I don't know. Anyway, $150 to $250 million, depending on who you believe. A bunch of money. It would have broken down to $2 or $3 million per school per year, I believe, on that, which is certainly not nothing. It's also not life-changing money. If we use an analogy, it's not like you're winning the Powerball with $100 million. You might be the guy that wins, 20, 30, 40 grand, something like that. Think about how much that could change your life, as opposed to the 100 million, something like that would, in this analogy, be equitable to legitimately closing ground on the Big Ten of the SEC. It's not going to do that. So this is not life-changing money. Let's be clear on that. Now, I'm not trying to poo-poo the idea of Memphis stepping up and bringing that much money, 9 figures in sponsorship dollars, to the table. It is impressive. None of this is meant to be disrespectful to Memphis. I mean, I have respect for their football program, which has been very solid. I'm not here to try and run down Memphis at all. Before I get into, I guess, the pushback, my pretty simple take was, I just don't think the Big 12 can take the perception hit of adding another G5 school, especially when the G5 schools that were added a couple of years ago have really struggled. I mean, there's no real way to sugarcoat that. BYU has had success. They were an independent. They were not a G5 school. They were not an AAC school. And that's the other thing. They were schools that directly came from the AAC. And I think a lot of people looked at UCF a similar way to some of the pushback that I'm hearing from pro-Memphis folks. I think we looked at UCF's football program in a largely similar manner to Memphis's, and look at what UCF has really struggled its first 2 years in the Big 12. That's not helping the case here. But it's really the perception thing. I mean, I can't remember if I said this on the video the other day. My apologies if I did. But I was listening to Bud Elliott on the Cover 3 the other day, and he was saying Jim Phillips actually should have been advocating for a 4-4-3-1-1 playoff proposal, because using his blue chip ratio, which shows schools that have 50% of their roster made up of 4- or 5-star prospects, the ACC has 3, the Big 12 has 0, and the Big 12 doesn't have anybody even close. So why should my league, if I'm Jim Phillips, be getting the same amount of auto bids as the Big 12? Like, that's the perception issue that you have already. And if you go out and you're adding another AAC school, again, it's nothing against Memphis specifically, but it's going to make the perception issues even worse for the Big 12 there. I also heard Ralph Russo from the Associated Press, who was on with the 365 guys. Would highly recommend checking out that interview. But Ralph Russo said that maybe is he not with AP anymore? Anyway, longtime college football writer. He made the point like, hey, everybody's looking at 2030. Maybe there's going to be a super league then. You don't want to, it's kind of the other end of the spectrum. If Memphis is really good, you don't want to be the ones that helped elevate them and then their competition in trying to make it into the next iteration of whatever college football is going to be. Now, I wouldn't think about that as strongly, but some of that is because, again, I've seen how much the AAC schools have struggled in trying to get up and going since coming in. So the case that I've basically seen from people who are pushing back against this are saying like, hey, man, that football program is actually pretty salty, and they bring a really nice basketball program, which we know is important to Brett Yormark, and the extra money is just an added incentive, and there's literally zero risk in 5 years. Why would you do that? I had on the original YouTube video I posted, former Memphis football player who said, I was there from 17 to 21. During that time span, we beat Ole Miss, we beat Mississippi State, we beat UCLA, we beat Cincinnati twice, we made the Cotton Bowl. All that in my 5 years in the program. Like that's a good football program. If we go look at, let's look at Memphis football year by year here. Obviously, they had a really good run with Mike Norvell when he was there, but it has still been solid with Ryan Silverfield. I mean, 8, 6, and 7 wins, but then 10 and 11 the last couple of years. In the last decade, they have 4 double-digit win seasons. They've got a 12-win season. That was the aforementioned Cotton Bowl year in 2019 when they went 12-2. They have been to a bowl game in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of the last 12 years, they've been to a bowl game. It's been a nice run. Justin Fuente, Mike Norvell, Ryan Silverfield, the former 2 of those coaches got Power 4 jobs. So, yeah, Memphis. And clearly they are investing. They have sponsors in their back pocket. There is a big financial motivation, which brings out some of the similarities to an SMU. I get it. Like if we were starting up, this is a dangerous conversation probably to have, but if we were starting from zero here, like back to Hateful Eight and the Big 12 needs to add some teams, if you were doing it again here and you were just looking at, all right, football programs specifically, who would you be taking here? I mean, Memphis would have a solid case, I think, against many of those. But then again, at the same time, and this is where I kind of played devil's advocate to those who are playing devil's advocate to me, I kind of come back to my own side. Like, I mean, Cincinnati had made the playoff. Now, I know they lost the coach, but you were taking Cincinnati right off of a 4-team playoff appearance. Like that. Look, Memphis has not been to that height. Cincinnati had. UCF had the unbeaten season in 2017. UCF had been to a higher high than what Memphis had there. So, Houston had some real moments there when Tom Herman was there where they popped up. So I get the case for Memphis there with Memphis football, but I do sense some similarities there too. And UCF fans, I love you, but UCF had this real brash confidence coming into the Big 12. And some of what I sensed from the Memphis contingent there was like this level of confidence like that, where I'm like, man, that seems like stuff that we kind of already heard, and we saw how that actually worked when they got to the Big 12. So I would still have my concerns. I think it's a risk probably not worth taking if I were the Big 12 right now, but I do get that Memphis made it a compelling case, and that's why, I mean, according to the reports, that's why it's something that the Big 12 considered for weeks, which tells you all you need to know about like how strong the case actually was, because this is kind of out of nowhere. There's no other, at least to my knowledge, like team that was being considered. It's not like you're adding a couple of teams at the same time to make this, I just don't think the Big 12, with how we've seen, I mean, look, they just had to ditch their own media pull because of perception issues. I just don't think you can take in another G5 school when that's the situation you're in.